Eli was in Vegas with his girlfriend for her birthday. Eli had never felt this level of rage before. He stood in the middle of the crowded party as Mia, his girlfriend, tries to hold his hands and says, "It was just a mistake, Eli. It didn't mean anything." Eli looks at her in disbelief. "Mistake? You have been screwing some guy for months, and you're saying it didn't mean anything? Bullshit." He pulled his hands from hers and his grip tightened around the shot of tequila in his hand. He needed to do something. He needed to get even. And then he saw Lucid, Mia's older brother, the same Lucid who barely acknowledged him whenever they crossed paths, but he occasionally caught him staring even though he never made a move to talk to him. The same Lucid who was effortlessly hot and casually leaning against the bar with a drink in his hand. Eli had an idea, a stupid, ridiculous idea. Before he could talk himself out of it, he slammed his drink on a nearby table and marched toward Lucid. The alcohol burned through his veins, and maybe that's why his body moved before his brain could stop him. Lucid barely had time to react before Eli grabbed him by the collar of his shirt and yanked him down into a kiss. Eli expected Lucid to push him away, maybe even punch him. But Lucid didn't. Instead, after Lucid got over his surprise, he tilted his head slightly, his lips moving against Eli's like he'd been waiting for this. The kiss was supposed to be short, a quick peck to make Mia lose her mind. But Lucid's hands settled on Eli's waist and suddenly Eli wasn't the one in control anymore. Lucid deepened the kiss, his tongue teasing against Eli's bottom lip. And fuck, this wasn't part of the plan. Eli felt himself melting into it, into the way Lucid kissed. It was slow and confident, like he had all the time in the world. Mia gasped. "What the fuck are you doing?" she asked with her jaw dropped. Eli barely managed to pull back, breathless. "Lucid," the bastard just smirked. "Well," he said, voice low, "that was interesting." Eli swallowed hard, but couldn't help but feel a twisted sort of satisfaction seeing Mia's face turn an ugly shade of red. Her mouth hung open in shock. It was delicious. He wanted to smirk, to gloat, to rub it in her face. "This is what you get for cheating, you bitch." But there was just one small problem. Lucid was still holding his waist, and it was possessive. Like he wanted keeping him close to him. Mia's eyes darted between them. "You kissed my brother." Eli ignored the way his lips still tingled. "Oh, I'm sorry, Mia. I thought we were doing that whole sleeping with other people thing." Lucid laughed, a low chuckle that sent a shiver down Eli's spine. Mia's face turned angry. "Are you seriously trying to use him to get back at me?" Lucid grip tightening slightly. "Pretty sure I was using him, actually." Eli's head snapped to Lucid. "Excuse me." It was a revenge kiss, not an invitation. "Oh," Lucid cut him off. "Then why'd you let me kiss you back?" Eli opened his mouth to argue that it was because you grabbed my waist and you kissed like it was your goddamn job. But Mia's angry screech interrupted them. "I cannot believe this right now," she shrieked, looking half a second away from throwing her drink at Eli's face. Lucid, being the absolute menace that he was, ignored Mia's reaction and leaned in close until Eli could feel his breath on his ear. "If you really want to piss her off," Lucid murmured, "why don't we make it look real?" Eli turned his head, about to snap at him, but Lucid was right there, lips almost touching his dark eyes watching Eli. Eli's heart did something weird in his chest. He swallowed. "You're insane." Lucid grinned and kissed him again. Eli barely had time to react before Lucid's hand slid up to his neck, tilting his head to deepen the kiss. It was hotter this time, slower, not a revenge kiss. Lucid kissed him like he meant it. Eli could hear Mia gasp and stop away, but he was too focused on kissing Lucid to do anything else. The next morning, Eli's head was pounding, and he immediately knew that something was wrong. His body was tangled in sheets that weren't his, and someone's arm draped over his waist. His eyes shot open and he saw Lucid, in bed with him, naked. Eli's heart slammed against his ribs as he took in the mess of their clothes on the floor and the fucking wedding ring on his finger. His eyes quickly went to Lucid's ring finger to see a matching ring on his finger. Oh no. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying to remember what had happened the previous night. There had been a lot of shots. Lucid had kept his hand on Eli's thigh the whole night, whispering in his ear, telling him he looked hot when he was pissed off, and Eli had let him. He had let Lucid flirt, let him steal another kiss, let him pull him into the back of a cab, where they drove to a nearby church. Eli groaned, running a hand down his face. We got married. We actually fucking got married. Eli heard a low chuckle beside him and froze. Morning, husband. Lucid was awake. Eli turned his head slowly to see Lucid stretching, the sheets slipping lower on his toned body. His smirk was lazy and satisfied, like he knew exactly what they had done last night and wasn't a bit regretful. Eli sat up so fast he nearly tumbled off the bed. We didn't get married, did we? He asked, already knowing the answer to that, but he still wished that maybe they had bought matching rings somewhere and randomly put it on their fingers. Lucid lifted his hand and wiggling his ring finger. We did. No. No. Eli frantically grabbed his own hand and yanked at the ring, but it wouldn't budge. Why the fuck was it so tight? Lucid laughed. Careful. You might break your finger. Why are you so calm? Eli looked at him in disbelief. Because I actually remember last night. He grinned. You were very enthusiastic about saying I do. Eli's stomach dropped. No. He pointed a finger at Lucid. You tricked me. I was drunk. Lucid raised a brow. You were also the one who pulled me into that church and demanded the priest make it official. Also, I was also drunk. Eli's face burned. I was joking when I said that. Didn't sound like a joke when you moaned my name when kissing me. Eli let out a strangled noise, throwing a pillow at him. Shut up. This isn't funny. I'm straight. Lucid caught the pillow with ease, amusement filling his dark eyes. You sure about that? Lucid's gaze dropped lower and his smirk widened. Eli followed his eyes and looked down at himself to realize that he was hard. It's just morning wood, Eli blurted out, his voice cracking. It happens to every guy. It doesn't mean anything. Lucid snorted. Sure. Nothing to do with the fact that you were all over me last night, begging for more. Eli's face burned. I did not. Lucid propped himself up on his elbow, smirking. Didn't you? Though, you kept leaning in and saying you needed me. And yet, he let out a dramatic sigh. I was the gentleman. I said no. Eli blinked. Wait, what? Lucid shrugged. Nothing happened, sweetheart. We just made out a lot, and you were pretty damn eager about it. His smirk widened. You even tried to climb into my lap a couple of times. Eli's brain stopped functioning. You're lying. Am I? Lucid tilted his head. You could always test that theory. Eli scrambled out of bed so fast he nearly tripped over the sheets. His hands shook as he grabbed his jeans and putting them on in record time. Nothing happened. That should have been good news, right? Except the memory of kissing Lucid was suddenly way too clear in his mind. The way his lips moved. The way his hands had held him close. Nope, not thinking about that. He put on his shirt and turned to Lucid with wild eyes. We need to get a divorce, now. Lucid yawned, stretching his arms above his head. I don't know, Eli. Feels a little soon, don't you think? We haven't even gone on our honeymoon yet. Are you out of your mind? Lucid tapped his chin, pretending to think. Maybe, or maybe I just don't want to make it easy for you. His dark eyes gleamed. You kissed me first, remember? And you also suggested getting married. Lucid got off the bed, his naked body on full display as he stalked towards Eli. Eli took a slow step back, trying not to look down. Lucid moved quickly and Eli barely had time to react before Lucid was pinning him against the wall, his hands holding both of Eli's wrists. Their bodies were close, and Eli could smell his stupidly expensive cologne. Lucid leaned in, lips almost touching Eli's ear. Say you didn't like it, he murmured. Say you don't want to do it again. Eli's heart slammed. His entire body went stiff for a moment and then, pure panic took over. He shoved Lucid back with every ounce of strength he had, making him stumble slightly. Before Lucid could react, Eli bolted out the door, through the hall, straight into the elevator, then on a plane from Las Vegas to Nevada. By the time he reached his apartment, slammed the door shut and pressed his back against it. His hands clenched into fists at his sides, his ring glistening from the light reminding him once again that he was married. To Lucid, he quickly shook that thought. He was too tired to think about that now. It was already late in the evening, so he went to his room to take a shower and sleep. It was the next morning, and Eli barely had time to process his life-ruining choices before there was a knock at his door. A very aggressive knock. He groaned, running a hand down his face. "Who the fuck?" "It's me, Eli." Mia's voice came through. It sounded fake and desperate. "Please just let me in. We need to talk." Eli sighed. Of course Mia had to show up and beg for another chance. He had already ignored 5 of her texts, 10 calls and a long-ass voicemail about how she had made a mistake and couldn't live without him. As if. He debated whether to open the door or pretend he wasn't home. But before he could decide, there was another knock. "Eli, sweetheart," a deep voice drawled. "Are you gonna let your husband in or should I start making the scene?" Eli froze. "No, not now." Mia's voice turned sharp. "Lucid, what the hell are you doing here?" Lucid's smirk was practically audible. "Didn't you hear, sis? I'm a married man now." Eli's face got really hot. Mia let out a laugh. "Nice joke, but you and Eli barely ever talk to each other. Guess we made up for lost time in Vegas." Eli gritted his teeth and yanked the door open. "Lucid, what are you doing here?" The moment their eyes met, Lucid's smirk widened. "Morning, husband." "Stop calling me that." Mia's gaze whipped between them, pure disbelief on her face. "Wait, you're actually serious?" Lucid leaned against the doorframe looking for her to please. "Dead serious. Ask him." Mia turned to Eli, waiting. And Eli, because he was an idiot, blurted out, "Yeah, we're married." Mia gasped. "What the actual fuck?" Mia looked like she was about to explode. "So let me get this straight. You dumped me, kissed my brother in front of me, and then married him?" Eli crossed his arms, glaring at her. "Pretty much." Mia started screaming cusses at Eli. Lucid chuckled, slipping past Eli into the apartment. The moment Mia opened her mouth to scream at him, Eli slammed the door shut in her face and locked it. A loud bang followed. "Eli, open this damn door. We are not done talking." Eli released a deep sigh, pressing his forehead against the door. "I am so done with this day." Lucid chuckled. "That was kind of hot." Eli spun around to face Lucid. "You." Lucid ignored him and flopped onto Eli's couch. "You know, we could use this situation to our advantage." Eli narrowed his eyes. "What situation?" Lucid smirked. "You want Mia to leave you alone, right?" Eli crossed his arms. "Obviously." Lucid leaned forward. "Then let's pretend we're together. If she thinks we're madly in love, she give up." Eli stared at him like he had grown 2 heads. "Are you actually insane?" Lucid shrugged. "Think about it. She can't beg for you back if she thinks you're happily married to me." "No, absolutely not." Eli shook his head furiously. "That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard." Lucid grinned. "Is it? Because you were the one who told her we were married." Eli's mouth opened, then snapped shut. "Okay, fair point. But still, I'm not pretending to be in love with you." Eli crossed his arms tighter. "That's ridiculous." Lucid tilted his head. "You sure? Because you didn't seem to mind kissing me." Eli's face burned. "That was a mistake." Lucid smirked. "A mistake you kept making over and over again." Eli groaned. "I hate you." Lucid shrugged. "You married me, babe." Eli hated how good that sounded coming out of his mouth. Lucid leaned back. "So, what's it gonna be? A fake relationship to get me off your back, or months of her trying to win you back with sad puppy eyes and late-night calls?" Eli ran a hand down his face and let out a long sigh. "Why are you even helping me?" he asked, narrowing his eyes at Lucid. "Mia's your sister. Shouldn't you be, I don't know, on her side?" Lucid tilted his head, something unreadable flickering across his face. "I don't like cheaters." His voice was calm, almost casual, but there was an edge to it. "And Mia, she's a spoiled brat. She does this to all her partners, sweet-talks them, makes them feel special, then screws around behind their backs like they're disposable." Eli frowned. "So you knew she was like this?" Lucid shrugged. "Of course, but no one ever believes the asshole older brother when he says something bad about the golden child." Eli fell silent, watching Lucid closely. He wasn't sure why, but there was something in Lucid's expression, something in the way he stared at him made Eli's stomach feel weird. He quickly looked away. Lucid smirked. "So, have I convinced you yet?" Eli groaned. "Fine." Lucid blinked. "Fine." Eli crossed his arms. "Yeah, fine. I'll fake date you." The second the words left Eli's mouth, Lucid grinned and then, without warning, he leaned in and pecked him on the lips. Eli froze. It wasn't a deep kiss, just a brief, touching of lips, but it sent a jolt through his body like he'd been electrocuted. Lucid pulled back smirking. There, now it's official. Eli stared at him, completely speechless. What the fuck was that? Lucid shrugged. A kiss. Why the hell did you kiss me? There's no one here to see us fake dating. Lucid shrugged again. Felt like it. Eli's jaw dropped. Felt like it. I told you I'm straight. Yeah? You keep saying that. Eli clenched his fists. Because it's true. Lucid chuckled. Sure, babe. Whatever helps you sleep at night. All right, listen up. Eli snapped. We need some ground rules. Lucid raised an eyebrow. Ground rules, babe. We just started dating, and you're already trying to control me. Eli's face burned. We are fake dating, and rule number 1 is no touching me unless absolutely necessary. Lucid smirked. You sure about that? Because you seemed pretty into it the night we got married. Eli clenched his fists and took a deep breath, ignoring what Lucid had just said. Rule number 2, no more surprise kisses. Lucid sighed dramatically. Well, I see how it is. No touching, no kissing. What kind of sad, loveless relationship is this? Eli glared. One that isn't real. Lucid grinned. You do know fake relationships usually require some affection, right? Otherwise Mia will never believe us. Eli groaned, running a hand down his face. Okay, we'll fake it in front of her. That's it. Lucid just nodded, clearly not taking him seriously. Before Eli could threaten him again, his phone buzzed. Mia, we need to talk, in person. Eli stared at the message. Lucid leaned in, reading over his shoulder. Eli shot him a look. Why do you look happy about this? Lucid smirked. Because I get to see her angry. Eli groaned. Whatever. I'll go talk to her. Lucid clapped a hand on his shoulder. We'll go talk to her. Eli blinked. No, we won't. Lucid gave him a smug grin. Oh, babe, we're dating now. You don't think I'd let my husband deal with his ex alone, do you? Later, at the cafe, Mia sat at the table, facing Eli with her arms crossed. Eli, what the hell is going on? Eli opened his mouth to say something, but then Lucid, sitting beside him, wrapped an arm casually around Eli's shoulders. Mia's face dropped. Eli stiffened. Lucid turned to him. You okay, babe? You look tense. Eli's soul left his body. Mia looked at them in disbelief. You two are actually together. Eli swallowed hard. Before he could even process what was happening, Lucid leaned in and kissed him right in front of Mia. Not a peck. A real slow kiss. Mia gasped. Oh my god. Lucid pulled back, glaring at Mia. I'd say that proves it. Mia gaped at them, her expression twisted between disbelief and pure rage. You have got to be kidding me. Eli barely had time to breathe before Lucid pulled him even closer. Lucid tilted his head, smirking at Mia. Oh, come on, sis. You should be happy for us. His fingers drummed lazily on Eli's thigh, making Eli's entire body stiffen. After all, Eli deserves someone who won't cheat on him. Mia's eyes flashed with anger and she looks like she was going to explode. Eli, with his face on fire, grabbed Lucid's wrist under the table, trying to get Lucid's hands off his leg. Lucid, he whispered harshly, quit touching me. Lucid leaned in closer, lips brushing Eli's ear as he whispered, relax, babe. Just selling the act. Eli shuddered. Mia stood up abruptly. You know what? You two deserve each other. Her voice dripped with venom. I hope you're very happy together. Then she spun on her heel and stormed out of the cafe. The second she was gone, Eli shoved Lucid away, his face still burning. There, mission accomplished. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his hair. Mia's pissed. She won't bother me anymore. So we're done with this fake dating thing. Lucid blinked at him, grinning. You know. Eli scoffed. What do you mean no? You're forgetting something, babe. He lifted his fingers to show Eli the ring still on his fingers. We're still married. Eli frowned. Lucid smirked. So unless you want to go through the legal process of divorcing me, you're stuck with me, husband. Few hours later, Eli stormed into the divorce attorney's office, dragging Lucid behind him by the wrist. Lucid strolled along like he had all the time in the world. Babe, if you wanted to hold my hand, you could have just asked. Eli immediately dropped his wrists. Shut up. They reached the receptionist's desk, and Eli slapped his hands down on the counter. I need a divorce. Immediately. The receptionist, A woman with glasses barely blinked. How long have you been married? Eli glanced at Lucid. Less than 72 hours. Lucid helpfully added, but what a beautiful 72 hours it's been. Eli jabbed an elbow into his side. The receptionist sighed and pulled out a pamphlet. I assume you got married in Vegas. Eli nodded frantically. Yes, and I need it and done right now. The receptionist gave him a look before flipping through some paperwork. You can't file for divorce yet. Eli's stomach dropped. What? Why not? She adjusted her glasses. Under Nevada law, you have to be married for at least 6 months before you can file for divorce. Eli's soul left his body. Lucid let out a low whistle. Well, that's fortunate. Eli gripped the edge of the counter. You're joking. The receptionist didn't even blink. I don't joke about marriage, sir. Lucid nudged Eli's shoulder, grinning. Guess that means we're stuck together, husband. Eli turned to him, horrified. Lucid's smirk widened. 6 whole months of wedded bliss. That evening, Lucid leaned against Eli's kitchen counter, sipping from a coffee mug that definitely wasn't his, in a house that definitely wasn't his. So I've been thinking. Eli, already exhausted, rubbed his temples. No. Lucid smirked. You don't even know what I want to say. Anyways, since we're married, we need to establish cohabitation. Eli snorted. No, we don't. Lucid's grin widened. Actually, we do. He pulled out his phone, tapping a few times before shoving it in Eli's face. See, legally, if we don't live together, it could make our divorce even messy 6 months from now. Eli frowned, snatching the phone. That's bullshit. He skimmed through the legal text, trying to find a loophole. There's no way this is real. Lucid shrugged. It's real. You can file for divorce after 6 months, sure, but if we haven't been living together, it might raise questions about whether the marriage was valid in the first place. Which means more paperwork, more delays, and more time stuck being my husband. Eli shoved the phone back at him. Then fine. We'll just pretend we live together. I'll put your name on the mailbox or something. Problem solved. Lucid tilted his head. Sure. And when someone comes checking. Or if we need to prove we share an address. Eli scoffed. No one's checking, Lucid. Lucid just nodded. All right. But when this blows up in your face, don't say, I didn't warn you. Eli rolled his eyes. Just go home, Lucid. Lucid grinned. Sure, babe. Whatever you say. The next day, Eli came home from work, threw his keys on the table and froze. There was a suitcase by the door and a leather jacket draped over his couch. Slowly Eli turned toward his bedroom. His perfectly organized closet was now half full of Lucid's clothes. In the bathroom there was second toothbrush next to his own, and a bottle of expensive cologne sat on the sink. The final straw was Lucid lying spread out on Eli's couch, scrolling through his phone like he owned the place. What the hell? Lucid barely looked up. Hey babe, welcome home. Eli's eye twitched. Lucid, what are you doing here? Lucid finally sat up, tossing his phone onto the coffee table. Moving in. You can't just move in. Lucid raised an eyebrow. Yeah, I can. Legally, I should be living here. You know, to avoid complications. You didn't even ask. Would you have said yes? Eli glared, causing Lucid to smirk. Exactly. Eli rolled his eyes and went to the bathroom to take his shower. Eli loved living alone. It meant he didn't have to lock the bathroom door, didn't have to be mindful of how long he took in the shower, and most importantly didn't have to worry about anyone walking in on him. Except now, he had a husband who had no concept of personal space. The bathroom was still steamy when Eli stepped out of the shower, a towel wrapped around his waist. Droplets of water rolling down his bare chest as he rubbed another towel against his head. Then, he looked up and froze. Lucid was leaning against the bathroom doorframe, arms crossed, smirking way too hard. Eli's heart slammed against his ribs. What the hell? Lucid tilted his head, his gaze noticeably dragging over Eli's body. Damn, he murmured. Didn't know I married a supermodel. Eli let out a strangled noise before slamming the door right in Lucid's smug face. From the other side, Lucid laughed. Don't be shy, babe. We're husbands, remember? Eli whimpered into his towel. He was going to die. That evening, Lucid took up the entire couch as he watched TV. Eli stood over him, glaring at the man who was purposefully stretched across the cushions, leaving no space for anyone else. Move, Eli grumbled. Lucid didn't even look up. There's space right here. He patted his lap. Eli glared at him. I'm not sitting on you. Lucid finally looked up. Why not? You're my husband. Eli's face burned. For the last time, we're not real. Lucid pouted. Then sit here. He shifted just a tiny bit and tapped the tiny space next to him. Eli huffed and sat, only for Lucid to immediately drape an arm over his shoulders. Eli stiffened. You're touching me. Am I? Lucid's fingers started tracing circles on Eli's shoulders. Eli's face heated up more and more with each brush of Lucid's fingers. Lucid smirked. You're so tense, babe. Want me to give you a massage? Eli threw a pillow at him and walked to his room. After some time of trying to sleep, while knowing Lucid is in the guest room next to his, the power went out. Eli was afraid of the dark, and the eerie silence of the apartment made him tiptoe down the hall with a blanket wrapped tightly around him. He peeked into Lucid's room. He wasn't here to sleep with him, obviously. He just needed an extra blanket. But before he could grab one, Lucid's voice cut through the silence. Babe, if you want to sleep with me, just say so. Eli jumped. His heart slammed against his ribs as he turned to see Lucid lying on the bed, half awake, smirking in the dark. I just, Eli stammered. Lucid chuckled, then pulled the covers back. Come on, he murmured. I don't bite. Unless you want me to. Eli was filled with so much embarrassment, but the darkness outside the window made his stomach twist. He hesitated in the doorway, gripping his blanket tightly. Lucid sighed. You're so obvious, he said, but his voice was caring. Just get an idiot. Eli huffed, then stomped over, keeping as much distance between them as possible as he curled up on the edge of the bed, facing the wall. Lucid let out a soft laugh behind him and murmuring, Sweet dreams, husband. The next morning, Lucid has followed Eli to the grocery store, even as Eli told him that he didn't need to. He was just here for milk, maybe some snacks. Lucid had wandered off somewhere, leaving Eli alone when a very attractive stranger came up to him and asked for his number. So what do you say, Brent? The stranger asked, leaning closer. I'd love to get to know you better. Eli nodded his head. Oh, sure, man, he said, fumbling to unlock his phone. I don't mind making new friends. Brent's smile twitched. Yeah, friends. Before Eli could finish typing his number, a large hand suddenly grabbed his wrist. Eli blinked as Lucid's fingers tightened around his wrist, gently but firmly pushing his phone back into his pocket. Lucid was suddenly right beside him, glaring at Brent. Eli had never seen him look this pissed. No. Lucid's voice was low. Brent blinked. No. Lucid stepped closer. No, he's not giving you his number, Lucid said flatly, his eyes sharp. Eli frowned, confused. Wait, why? Lucid didn't let him finish. Before Eli could say another word, Lucid turned toward him, cupped his jaw, and kissed him. Eli's brain completely shut down. The feeling of Lucid's warm lips pressed firmly against his stole every thought from his mind. The kiss was possessive. It wasn't soft. It wasn't teasing. It was a statement. Lucid kissed him deeply, pressing against him like he owned him, like he was claiming him right there in the middle of the damn grocery store. Eli made a tiny noise, face burning hot as he gripped Lucid's jacket for balance. His legs felt weak. When Lucid finally pulled away, he turned back to Brent with a satisfied smirk. Brent stared, completely stunned. Lucid wrapped a very secure arm around Eli's waist and pulled him in, resting his chin on short Eli's head as he said, He's taken. Find someone else. Brent blinked. Okay, he stammered, quickly stepping away before practically speed walking out of the aisle. The moment he was gone, Eli whipped his head toward Lucid, his entire face on fire. What the hell was that? Eli squeaked, still breathless. Lucid, completely embothered, picked up a bag of chips and tossed them into the cart. What? You liked it, didn't you? Eli stammered. I know, shut up. Lucid only chuckled, watching Eli cover his burning face. That night, the tension was thick. Eli paced the living room, arms crossed, his face still warm from earlier. He hadn't stopped thinking about it since they left the store. And now Lucid was just acting normal, like it never happened. Why the hell did you kiss me? Eli blurted out after thinking about it for too long. Lucid, lounging on the couch, barely looked up from his phone. What? Don't play dumb. Lucid smirked. You're still thinking about it, huh? Just answer me. Lucid's smirk slowly faded. He met Eli's gaze. I couldn't let anyone else take you from me. Eli's stomach flipped. What? Lucid sat up. I mean what I said. Eli's heart pounded. But why? We're fake dating. What does it matter? Lucid sighed and ran a hand through his hair. You really don't get it, do you? He let out a humorless chuckle. Mia never actually liked you, Eli. Eli stiffened. What? She only dated you because she found out I liked you. Eli's breath caught. His mind raced. He swallowed. That doesn't make sense. Lucid scoffed. Doesn't it? Think about it, she's done it before. Every time I liked someone, she'd go after them first, just to ruin it for me. Eli's stomach sank, because now that he thought about it, the way Mia pursued him out of nowhere, the way she got clingy when he seemed unsure, the way she lost interest so quickly, and the way Lucid always watched him. Eli swallowed. His voice was small when he spoke. Is that why you always stared at me? Lucid didn't deny it. And you never wondered why? Eli's face burned. I thought you were just being an overprotective older brother. Lucid scoffed and leaned back with a smirk, watching Eli squirm. Later that night, Eli was lying in bed, unable to sleep because of what Lucid said. Because Lucid liked him, and had liked him before Mia, and had always liked him. Eli turned over, groaning into his pillow. It shouldn't matter. But it did. It did, because now every time he closed his eyes, all he could see was Lucid. At some point, Eli fell asleep, and when he did, the dream started, and it was too real. Lucid was there on top of him, pinning him down. Eli felt his breath hitch as Lucid's warm hands slid over his bare skin. Lucid's voice was deep as he murmured against his ear, You want me, don't you? Eli's skin burned. His body reacted as he arched up, heat pooling in his stomach as Lucid's lips trailed down his neck, his collarbone. Eli gasped, eyes wide as Lucid's hands gripped his hips, pressing their bodies flush together. And then, Eli woke up. He jerked upright, heart pounding, body hot and, oh no. Eli froze, staring down at himself, his face turning bright red as he realized he was hard. Because of Lucid. Because he just had a sex dream about Lucid. Eli panicked. What the hell? He whispered, screamed at himself, covering his face with his hands. This was bad. This was so bad. Eli spent the entire morning in a state of absolute denial. This was just a phase. A reaction to last night's conversation. That was it. It had nothing to do with Lucid's hands on him in that dream. Nothing to do with the way his body reacted. Eli slapped his own cheeks. Stop thinking about it. But then Lucid walked into the kitchen, shirtless, and Eli nearly dropped his coffee. Morning, husband, Lucid said, ruffling Eli's hair as he passed. Don't call me that. Lucid grinned, grabbing a cup from the cabinet. Why not? We are married. You're so annoying, Eli muttered, focusing very hard on his coffee. Lucid smirked, clearly having too much fun. You were moaning my name last night. Eli's entire body went rigid. What? His voice cracked, betraying him. Lucid tilted his head, amused. You're blushing. Why? I wasn't moaning your name. Eli lied, blushing. Lucid leaned in, voice dropping to a teasing whisper. Then why'd you react like that? Eli turned around so fast, refusing to make eye contact. Shut up. Lucid chuckled, watching Eli scramble out of the kitchen. That morning, Eli wasn't thinking when he pushed the bathroom door open. He should have knocked to check if he was in there, but he didn't. And now, he was frozen in place, eyes wide as he took in the scene before him. Lucid was standing there, fresh out of the shower, towel slung loosely around his hips, water dripping from his damp hair, rolling down his bare chest. He gasped and immediately spun around to leave. But before he could, Lucid grabbed him. Eli barely had a second to react before he was pinned against the wall, Lucid's bare, wet skin dangerously close. His breath hitched. Lucid tilted his head, his damp hair dripping onto Eli's shirt. What's wrong, sweetheart? Eli swallowed hard. I didn't see anything. He lied horribly, his voice way too high-pitched. Lucid smirked. Didn't you? His fingers brushed the side of Eli's waist, causing him to involuntarily gasp. Lucid's eyes darkened at the reaction. Oh, he murmured, voice low and knowing. Eli felt his heart pound violently against his ribs. This was bad. This was so bad. Because Lucid was too close, and Eli was losing his mind. Lucid was too close, droplets of water sliding down his abs, disappearing under the loose towel wrapped low around his hips. Eli's fingers twitched at his sides. "Don't touch him, don't touch him," he tells himself. But before he could stop himself, his hand lifted. His fingertips grazed Lucid's chest just barely, just for a second before he yanked it back like he'd been burned. His face flushed deep red, mortified at his own actions. What the hell was he doing? But it was too late because Lucid saw it, and he smirked. Before Eli could stammer out an excuse, Lucid grabbed his wrist and placed Eli's hand flat against his stomach himself. Eli inhaled sharply. His fingers spread out involuntarily, palm pressing against the hard, toned muscles of Lucid's bare abs. Holy shit! Lucid didn't move. Neither did Eli. Lucid eyes darkened as he watched Eli closely. Then he leaned in and stopped just inches away from his face. Eli's heart raced, his mind an absolute mess of panic, want and confusion. Without thinking, Eli moved first. He closed the distance between them. His lips crashed against Lucid's. Lucid reacted immediately, his grip on Eli's waist tightening, his body pressing closer. Eli shuddered, a quiet, unintentional whimper escaping his throat. Lucid groaned softly at the sound. He took control, deepening the kiss with an intensity that made Eli's knees buckle. The towel around Lucid's waist shifted slightly, hanging dangerously loose. Eli's hands gripped Lucid's waist to steady himself. Lucid pulled back just slightly, enough to murmur against Eli's lips. "Didn't you say you were straight?" Eli's face burned hotter than ever. What the hell was he doing? Eli panicked. With a gasp, he shoved Lucid away with all his strength. Lucid barely stumbled back. "What the hell did I just do?" Lucid licked his lips slowly, with a hungry look in his eyes. Eli couldn't take it. With a yelp, he turned and tried bolting out of the bathroom. He barely made it to steps before Lucid grabbed his wrist and yanked him back. Eli gasped as his body collided with Lucid's once again. "Admit it," Lucid murmured, his voice low. "You want me." Eli's breath hitched. He shook his head frantically, but the way his fingers curled against Lucid's chest like he didn't want to let go betrayed him. Lucid's smirk deepened. "Say it." His voice was almost a whisper. "Say you want me. You know I want you." Eli's cheeks burned, his entire body on fire. He couldn't take it anymore. With a frustrated groan, he grabbed Lucid's face and crashed their lips together. Lucid groaned in satisfaction, instantly lifting Eli effortlessly, walking out of the bathroom and into Eli's room. Before Eli could even process it, his back was pressed against the bed, Lucid hovering over him, their bodies fitting together like they belonged. Lucid's lips traveled down Eli's jaw, his hands roaming, exploring, making Eli arch into his touch. Eli gasped as Lucid's lips found his neck, his body reacting in ways he didn't know were possible. His legs wrapped around Lucid's waist without thinking, pulling him closer, making Lucid groan softly against his skin. Lucid's lips met his again, his kiss hungry, demanding, and Eli responded just as desperately. It was too good, too perfect. Lucid suddenly froze. Eli whined at the loss of contact. Lucid cursed under his breath. "We don't have protection." Eli's eyes widened in horror as reality crashed into him. "Oh, shit." Eli's entire face was on fire. He lay there, panting, his body still buzzing from everything that had just happened. His lips were swollen, his skin tingling where Lucid had touched him. And yet, they stopped because of protection. The weight of what he had almost done crashed into him all at once. "Oh my God." Eli squeaked and immediately shoved Lucid off him, scrambling to sit up. "I wasn't even thinking," he stammered, pulling at his shirt like that would somehow erase the memory of him arching under Lucid like a needy mess. "I didn't mean I'm straight." Lucid raised an amused brow. "Yeah, is that why you were moaning 2 seconds ago?" That was just heat of the moment. I wasn't thinking." Lucid snorted. Sure. Heat of the moment. Got it." Eli's heart was still racing. He covered his burning face with his hands, mumbling to himself. "Oh my God, what is wrong with me? What did I almost do? I can't believe." Lucid suddenly leaned in, grabbing Eli's wrists and pulling his hands away from his face. Eli blinked up at him, still flustered. Lucid smirked. "So, instead of jumping straight into bed again, why don't we actually do this right?" Eli frowned, still blushing furiously. "Do what right?" Lucid tilted his head. "Go on a date." Eli's brain stopped. Date. Lucid chuckled. Yeah, a date. We should actually get to know each other before we have sex, don't you think? Eli stammered. What? But I'm not. Lucid just grinned, leaning even closer. You're not what, Eli? Fine, one date. But after that, we are getting divorced, you hear me? Lucid just looked way too pleased. Sure, Eli. Whatever you say. Eli regretted agreeing to this date the moment he saw where Lucid had taken him. The restaurant wasn't just fancy, it was absurdly luxurious. This wasn't just a date. This was the kind of place people got engaged in. Eli swallowed hard as he followed Lucid inside, already feeling out of place in his semi-casual outfit. This is a bit much, don't you think? Lucid shot him an innocent look, leading him to their private table near a large window overlooking the city. Why, you don't like fancy things? Eli narrowed his eyes. It's not that, but this isn't exactly a casual first date. Lucid smirked. Who said I do casual? Eli felt his face heat up. The moment they sat down, Lucid leaned in, resting his chin on his palm as he watched Eli far too intensely. You look cute when you're nervous, he commented. I'm not nervous. Lucid grinned. You're blushing again. Damn it. He was. Throughout the entire dinner, Lucid wouldn't stop flirting, and every time Eli would try to focus on his food, Lucid would say something like, you know, if you keep biting your lip like that, I'm gonna start thinking you want me to do it for you. Or, I could feed you if you're too flustered to eat properly. Or the worst one, you keep looking at my lips, Eli. Want another taste? Eli had almost thrown his drink at him. But then, somewhere in the middle of the date, Lucid's teasing settled into something softer. He started talking about things that actually made Eli pause. I never liked how Mia stole my crush, Lucid said softly, his gaze far away. Not because I was jealous, but because none of them actually deserved it. And you, Eli, you were different. I liked you the moment I first saw you. I always did. Eli stilled. His heart skipped a beat. Lucid looked at him then, his usual smirk gone. I meant what I said. I can't let anyone else take you from me. Eli realized that Lucid really, truly liked him. After the dinner date, they arrived back at the apartment, and nothing could have prepared Eli for what he saw when he stepped inside. A pillow fort. Not just any pillow fort, a ridiculously well-built one, with fairy lights hanging from the ceiling, a thick blanket spread across the floor, and a laptop sitting on a small table in the middle. It looked cozy and magical, like something straight out of a movie. Eli just stood there, blinking. Lucid leaned casually against the doorway, surprised. Eli turned to him, still stunned. Did you do all this? Lucid shrugged. I figured we'd end the night with a movie. Thought you'd like it. Eli felt his heart clench. Lucid had done all this for him. He didn't even know how to react to that. Lucid walked past him, flopping onto the blanket and patting the spot next to him. Come on, we can watch whatever you want. Eli finally moved, still feeling like his brain wasn't working properly. He slowly sat down beside Lucid and selected a random movie. Halfway through the movie, he realized he had barely paid attention. Lucid was way too close. Every now and then, Lucid would shift slightly, his leg bumping against Eli's. It wasn't intentional, but every single touch made Eli's skin burn. Lucid stretched, his arm going over Eli's shoulders in the most cliché move ever. Eli turned to glare at him, his cheeks burning. Did you really just do the fake yawn arm over the shoulder move? Lucid smirked. It worked, didn't it? Eli tried to shove him, but Lucid grabbed his wrist and pulled him in closer instead. They were suddenly face to face. Eli couldn't handle it anymore, so he pulled Lucid closer and kissed him. Not hesitantly, but confidently. Lucid froze, clearly not expecting him to kiss him again. Lucid kissed him back hungrily, one hand cupping Eli's cheek, the other gripping his waist and pulling him onto his lap. Eli gasped at the sudden movement, but Lucid took advantage of that, slipping his tongue into Eli's mouth. Without thinking, Eli pulled away just slightly and whispered, "Be my boyfriend." Lucid blinked, still slightly dazed, before he let out a low chuckle. Eli, we're already married. Eli's face turned bright red, but before he could even try to argue, Lucid flipped them over, pinning him down against the soft blankets. Lucid leaned in, his voice low, teasing but undeniably serious. But yeah, I'll be your boyfriend. And your husband. And everything else you want. The end.